Hello, environmental sociology students. Welcome to another new week and another new video. Today I would like to talk to you a little bit about one of the basic ideas behind environmental sociology, and that is the importance of social construction. When something is socially constructed, it means that it's created by society. And that can be a thing, an artifact, or it can be an idea as well. And the idea that we're going to talk about this week is an idea that we're talking about all throughout the term, and that is the idea of the social construction of nature. Now that sounds funny and almost ironic. If nature is natural, how can it be societally constructed if nature was arguably around a lot before society even? Well, the word and the concept of nature itself came into being after societies developed, when humans started speaking, developed vocabulary, and put words on things. Obviously, what we conceive of as nature, trees, land, water, those things were around before the term nature. But what's so important about social construction is that that defines how we see something, and that's why nature never has, and probably never will, mean the same thing to all people. Its meaning has changed, and its meaning is different for different members of society. What do I mean by that? Well, consider the beginnings of the United States. When we talk about nature in early America, that meant, at the time of when the explorers came to America, it meant very different things. For example, there was already a large civilization of Native Americans living in nature in the United States. And many of those civilizations lived in a pretty harmonious relationship with nature. They saw themselves as a part of nature. However, when explorers came over and eventually became settlers and later became colonizers, they saw nature in a very different way. They were looking at the exact same trees and lakes and woods, and what they saw was something uncivilized, something wild, and something that needed to be tamed. And really, that became our whole doctrine of manifest destiny in the United States. So, two very different contrasting views of what nature meant at the same time. And we see that still today. We see some groups talking about living in harmony with nature. We see some people talking about protecting this human-constructed and societally constructed idea of nature. We see other people talking about how we can use nature to our benefit, for example, to human benefit. And we see other people talking about, or at least thinking about, how we can actually exploit nature for profit. So there is a wide variety of ways that we think about nature. Why is social construction important, except that we're talking about it in an academic sense? Well, it's incredibly important and at the root of many of the issues and problems that we're talking about this term, because how we talk about something, how we perceive it, and how we define it often affects how we treat it, how we behave toward it, and how we interact with it as well. Consider the idea of wilderness. Wilderness is also a socially constructed notion, the idea of land without human beings in it. Once there were no human beings on any land. Then human beings evolved on the planet, and along with the evolution of people came the evolution of the idea that there could be a classification of lands called wilderness where no people went. And that classification is still very controversial today. Some people on the protection end of the environmental spectrum say it's the only way to protect some lands without people, because some lands in some areas are so fragile that human impact is automatically degrading and negative to them. Other people say that all land should be compatible with some form of human interaction or human use, even if that use is limited. Other people think that there should be no wilderness, that all land should be accessible to people. And some people believe that land should be made more accessible to people with more trails, more roads, etc. And other people believe that wilderness designation, designating parks, for example, will protect land. Although we've seen case studies, both where that is true, where land is protected through designation of wilderness, but we've also read about case studies, like among the Maasai in Kenya and Tanzania, where when parks have been created without input from local people, sometimes it's actually brought up tensions, and it's intensified tensions between people and land use, and led to not good end results for both people and for the land. So now, some people who have believed in this wilderness ideal and in the creation of wilderness designated parks are asking, is there a way to have people and land together in a compatible way where people are not necessarily fenced out of wilderness protected areas, but are allowed to do, for instance, local harvesting, sustainable harvesting, indigenous harvesting within entities like wilderness preserves. So all of these nuances of languages and the way that we define concepts like nature and like wilderness impact very greatly legislation that we pass, parks that we create, the ways that we use resources, and laws over how we use or protect those resources. So the next time you think it's just language or just a technicality, think again. The social construction of nature is all important in our debate this term. See you again next week.